think of the muscle up being 3 parts. Pull, thumb to touch chest. If you can do that, we can then move to the next level. Transition is the second part of and then the push out of the dip. The muscle up on the rings requires, I'll just show you, requires false grip, because with the bar I will rotate my hand around the ring, around the bar, sorry, as I go around it. But with the ring muscle up, I'm going to place my wrist on top of the ring where I want to end up. So rather than me rotating my hand as I go through the transition, I actually just rotate my wrist on top of it.
The reason is for this guy, you use that everything as a normal hand. If you're going to try and go for a muscle up from here, as you pull up between the rings, you've then got nowhere to transfer your force over, because the wrist has to roll up, the force out, it's just not great. The false grip position, when you go over the top, when he pulls up into that position, the transition means that the wrist then the elbow stacks right on top of the wrist, and now I can put force down.
Mobility for it requires a lot of flexion at the wrist, and that's what Tim's going to take you through some flexibility for. I'm just going to show us the reason that you're going to grab, if you grab normally in the base, in the fingers, we have to actually take and go across the base of the palm to be able to hold that and hold that false grip position. The thumb is going to go around as well, and we're going to hold to start with in here. We're not going to worry too much about turning out. If anyone starts nailing some, we can make it harder for you in terms of your false grip. But I have to be able to create this false grip position where the ring is in the base of my palm and in between my finger and my first finger and thumb. And then can I hold that position with that flex wrist? If you can't and you start to slip off here, you'll get up to the top, you'll come for your transition and you've got nowhere to go. Yeah? So we're going to build up 3 phases: the pull, the transition through here, and then the push out of the dip. Yeah? So we're going to work in 3, we're going to work those 3 phases, but to starting point is, can I create enough range of flexion in my wrist to hold a false grip? And have I got the strength to actually do a pull-up whilst in false grip? That's going to be our starting point. If we can't do those things, there's no point in doing anything else.
So we're going to work through some wrist work. Flexors, extensors. If we're going to start to work through some false grip work, we need to start to make sure we're looking after the flexors on this side of the forearm. The reason being, getting into this position and pulling in that position is going to mean that we build up a lot of tension. If anybody have any pain on the inside of the elbow, this side, golfer's elbow, okay, that comes from a lot of this sort of work. So muscle ups and golfer's elbow go hand in hand unless we do something to try and decrease that tension and accumulation of that fatigue. Remember as well, we talked before, I think Jacko mentioned it, ligaments and connective tissue and tendons heal slowly. So if we all of a sudden start ramming through a load of false grip work, we're going to have problems if we kind of try and do it 2-3 times a week, because we're just not ready or conditioned to be able to do it. So take it slowly. Your first job, I actually prefer to use thumbs for this one, because you can really find the tight points of the tissue. Find out where the tight points of the tissue are and then start to spend a bit of time just loosen it off. Imagine that kind of like pressure down and starting to take the wrist into extension there. It's just like wire strippers, you're just kind of like taking a bit of tension against the muscle and pulling it through, and you're stripping out some of that nasty kind of tight adhesions. Okay, so we need to get into this shape, so we've got to create some length on this side of the wrist. And the forearm, sorry, so we're going to start getting into some of that business, and again, like that, just feeling horrible in there for me. Alright, so again, pinch it down and start to put some pressure through it. Again, if you wanted to go into ball action, you could press down on the floor. But we can actually start to get into, if we hold the wrist down in this position, we can then start to, again, keep the hand flat, but we can work into this. And this one's quite good to work some rotation. Again, if it's painful, you've got pinching or anything like that, just go steady.
And that's taking you into the flexion that you need for this false grip, yeah? The more flexion you can create, the easier you're going to hold your false grip.
Hold that wrist down. That one particularly is pretty nasty. Again, after this, guys, you go into some mobility, move your wrist around when you've done it, you should feel like you've got a little bit more range. It's going to help us when we try and get this false grip position. The real position we want to get to ultimately is to go to hang an external rotation in our false grip here. So that's pretty brutal. We'll start off, we just get into a strong shape. So can I hang into position from here? So lock into that sort of shape. From there, my job is to just pull through, transition, and then press. We'll break it down in more detail, but let's just see how it feels to get into false grip. What I wouldn't suggest you do is go into false grip and just jump off the floor and take all your body weight out. Just gently to start to feel, because these muscles and the tendons, like Jacko was saying before, tendons and ligaments, aren't used to taking that kind of load. So just go easy.
Let's make sure we go, so we're going to go in here, so the bicep is going to help us out a little bit, arm is going to be bent. We're not going to start by turning it, try and turn down. Yeah? Can you hold it in there, or do you, when you gradually take your feet off the floor, does it slip from that hold? Do you end up down there with your fingers? Yeah, so because you're turning up, keep moving from your together, that's easier position there. Good, here you got that. Nice, hold it up top. Beautiful. The key bit that people struggle with once they've got false grip is the transition.
Go from the seated position through, or just starting to use the floor so we can start to feel the pan of what it is we're trying to do. So we can get into that false grip, and then as we pull through, we're going to drive the rings through to the chest, and then it's this position where we're going to start to twist through. If you come through, we're not going to worry about where we're going to twist the rings. If you start to worry about what we're doing, we try and move these. What ends up with this, as soon as the rings start to fly out to the side, we're in all world trouble because you're going to be unstable all over the place. So when we come through, we're going to pull through, keep them tight, and then all I've got to do is just push my head between the rings. So Jackie talks about this and about heading a football. Okay, and then we're just going to get the transition that we need.
So at this point, the start of this transition, his elbows are pointing down. When he throws his head through, imagine he's dead in a football, the elbows automatically go back and up behind him, and that's the bottom of your dip, or deep dip. Yeah, that's where he's got to be able to get to. Letting your brain know what that position is. Keep your thumbs and the rings touching you at all times. So thumbs touch your chest, you go through, and you're just pulling apart, and your hands stay touching your sides. Don't try and take them into a crucifix, that's like level 1 million. In false grip, thumb to chest, get yourself as good. Chuck my head through, and then from there I'm going to see whether can I push up and out of that dip, just to see whether we've got that ability, and are we going crazy because we can't handle the instability of the rings. Yeah, so just be careful with that. But we have to, in our transition, we're at the bottom of a deep dip. Yeah, if I go away and I do loads of dips in here, thinking I'm doing really well, I'm never working that bottom range, and I'm never going to be able to get out of there. The transition's the hardest part. You don't want to do a really good pull-up, transition through, and then not have the strength to be able to pull out of that, to push out of that dip.
I don't know how that will be with the
Can you do a pull-up where you get your thumb to your chest? So don't think about pulling yourself up, just think about, can I get my thumb to touch my chest? Yeah, if you can do that, we can teach you a muscle up on the rings today. Yeah, so he's going to go with hands, and then he's going to go thumb to hit his chest. Nice. We're going to see some ring muscles. There's a few guys, definitely.
Good. Elbows tight. Don't send the rings. Yeah. The thing with the muscle up is you want to keep the rings under control. As soon as they end up anywhere away from the body, you're in trouble.
So the band goes on the ring. It's going to go behind me. I'm going to go on top, holding it, making sure I'm getting close to as false grip as I can, so I'm on that base of my palm. I'm then going to sit down onto the ring, it's supporting me nice, but feet off the floor here. And then I'm going to go thumb to chest and make it nice and smooth. So thumb to chest, and then I'm going to hit that ball. So thumb to chest, through. Yeah, you can push out if you want to practice that as well. Yeah, but the bit I want us to get good at is kind of go thumb to chest, pushing through. If you get really good at this, then make it super slow with the support of the band. Thumb to chest, push through. Yeah, the better you are, the less speed you need. The less strength we have, we're going to use a bit of momentum. Thumb to chest, head forward. Good. Yeah? Easy. Really drive that head forward. Back. Don't think about turning the rings out. They'll turn out automatically.
Yeah. There you go. Yes.
What I'd like us to do now is we're going to leave the...
Go on.
Ah.
Go on.
Yes.
Easy.
Easy.
Good. You're not wrong. But some of us...
Go on, James.
Come to chest.
Yes.
What are you liking the pressure? Huh? You loved it? It's a first muscle up. Oh, there we go. On camera, smile after you've done it. That's it. There we go. Yeah! You're going to do two? Easy. You can have that.
No, not on the rings, no. Not perfectly. Not about but swinging lows.
Yeah, so he's never done a muscle up on the rings, just does two straight away in his first time. Just teaching the right movement pattern. Technique.